Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm sitting on the floor with my pup. So this is like prime playtime is what he's trying to do with me right now. I'm onto it. Um, Happy Monday, you guys. I know this is like a little early for goal setting, right? But at the same time, it's like a little bit perfect, right? Because Edward, Eddie, I know. I was just playing with him. It's my own fault. And then I hit go, right? My bad. Um, it's a little bit perfect only because we are proactive thinkers, right? And if you are truly trying to be proactive with your life, um, getting some meat behind it is truly one of those ways that you can do it. So let's dive in to goal setting 101. Just let me have a little sip ski. That's a good one. Love when I make a good tea. So delicious. So, at the end of the day, I want you guys to you might be thinking, okay, Delight, it's a week before Christmas. Why are we doing this? And for me, it's I'm super passionate about helping people move forward in their life, right? So whether this is their health goals or their personal life goals, this is a huge thing, and so many people are holding themselves back. So I want you to just come into it with an open mind, and maybe you're not ready to watch this yet. Maybe you want to hit pause and watch it next week. But I encourage you to listen and watch, get some of these tips to start wrapping your head around it as soon as possible, because, I'm a firm believer in the need to not have New Year's resolutions. Okay. New Year's resolutions are one of those things, and statistics are showing that within 60 days of starting a New Year's resolution, you're stopping your New Year's resolution, and then you feel like crap about yourself, right? So that's not really what I'm interested in. So this is why I'm getting you to think. It's common that, once Christmas is over, people are ready to jump into it, whatever it is, okay? And, I was one of those people even that, it was actually 5 years ago, this December 31st ish. It was the end of December 5 years ago that I decided I was going to start reducing our toxic load in our house and start making over everything within our home. Okay. And then it was actually 2 years ago, December 31st, that I was done in corporate healthcare and went out on my own. Right. So, I get it. Right. There was something about, I certainly, when I think about corporate world, I resigned in October, but it was like December 31st. No, I'm done and I'm moving on with my life, right? And it was a lot of these principles that we're going to talk about today that really helped me to kind of set the tone. So whether you are looking to move forward with your health, or taking a leap and doing something different with your career, or even setting the tone or planting seeds for something different, you might be in that right headspace now. So work with me here, okay? Eddie, can you sit, buddy? Can you sit? And you lay down. Lay down. Good boy. Good boy. All right, we're good. So let's dive into this. Absolutely. And I have a ton of sources. That didn't last very long. I have a ton of sources if you guys are interested in me forwarding those on to you. But let's talk about, goals specifically. It's defined as the result of achievement towards something, right? So you have a direction that you're moving and you've achieved it. Okay. You've achieved your goal. Eddie, buddy. No, all done. All done. Okay. All done. Thank you. So, and I feel like I've been talking to a lot of people about this lately where we, at the end of the day, it comes down to setting setting a decision, making a decision, and then just, going all in towards it, right? Whether it is with, I hear people all the time where, I want to, start making over stuff in my house, or I want to lose weight, or I want I can't stand my job, or I'm in the wrong relationship, or just or I've always wanted to do this, and this. What's preventing me from doing those things? So it's setting a different standard for yourself, making the decision and saying, screw it, like I'm going all in and I'm doing this, right? So there's there was an article in it was called Code of Living, and it talks about how setting goals affects our lives in like 5 different ways. Okay. The first one being, setting a specific goal provides us with, a sharp sense of focus, which we can always use a little bit more of. It allows us to measure our progress because other than that, you're kind of just feeling like you're spinning your wheels, right? Setting goals blocks distractions and provides just productive boundaries around what you're needing, right? And we're going to talk about boundaries today, and how setting goals, it helps you combat things like procrastination and, all those kind of excuses really on why you're not doing something. And it's funny how, and I talk about this all the time, how, having kids is like the ultimate reason to procrastinate something, or the ultimate distraction, or the ultimate excuse. Yet if you ask people why they're doing something, it is to create a different standard of life for their kids, right? So our kids are a reason, yet they're our biggest distraction, right? Which is kind of funny. But if you set a goal around it, it's not that you're gonna, shun your children. It's that you start looking at them as your why versus, oh, I'm busy running here, I'm busy doing this, I'm busy. We're always busy, right? We'll talk about that. And it's just the number 5 reason was, setting goals just motivates you. You have that end goal and you can see it, right? So stay with me, right? And we're going to talk about how this actually works, because, when you set a goal for yourself, you're inherently, you have an end game, right? You have that end game in mind, and it shifts your behaviors and your thoughts. And then, with this, you begin to make certain steps towards what you want to do, and then you will gradually pick up momentum, right? And we'll talk about celebrating and all those things that we need to do along the way, right? But, literally, did you know that momentum is actually addictive? Okay, research is showing this, because as you move and progress closer to accomplishing your goal, your brain actually releases dopamine, which is the hormone or substance that actually gives us our pleasure reflex, I guess, right? The pleasure center of the brain, and then it motivates you to take further steps towards achieving your ultimate reward or your ultimate goal. Okay, so the thing is if you are feeling stuck, you need to get that dopamine flowing, right? So this is where I even say to people, this is where creating a to-do list is so powerful, right? And then when my mom and I were doing this the other day too, we had a to-do list of things that we're going to get done. And then as we did them, we literally were like, bam, like checking them off, right? And it was awesome, right? We were getting the dopamine flowing through our brains just with every check mark of that list gone, right? But we're going to talk about lists, and we're going to talk about, the key behind not making your to-do list unmanageable as well, right? Because it's important, but it's important for you to see progress. And when you set a goal, you're going to have to develop a plan and then abide by it. And as you work through your plan, you'll notice, gradual progress along the way, which will then give you the motivation to keep going, right? But measuring your gradual progress is key, because your ultimate goal might be in, 2 years from now, right? Well, that's hard to have something that's set that far back. And that is, it's not a long time. You think about how fast the last 2 years has flown by. but when you're looking at the ultimate goal, the game plan of your life, 2 years can seem like forever away. So it's important to kind of have markers along the way as well. Measuring your progress also just gives you and kind of permission to make any necessary alterations that you need as well. So remember that after you set your goal, it's super, super important to have the ability to measure it. So Nicole's saying, I couldn't live without a list, everything from groceries to do lists. And even when I clean the house, I list every room and write everything I want down. Yes, Nicole, you've absolutely nailed it, right? There's such power in just like, bam, I got this done, right? But that's goal setting. So even if it's house cleaning day, absolutely, right? You have you've set the tone and you've kind of just said, okay, these are my rooms. And rather than just looking at it as, and house cleaning is so rewarding in the fact that you go, oh, sweet, my house is clean. But at the same time, you're like, what the hell did I spend my entire day doing? This is craziness. Because at the, and then your kids come in and it looks like a war zone right afterwards. But absolutely love that. Love that. Thank you. So let's talk about how does, I want to dive into those kind of top 5 things. And let's talk specifically about how does goal setting block distractions and help create boundaries. Okay. So in terms of blocking distractions, the ability to do this not only helps you to achieve your goals sooner, but it also helps you to develop some self-discipline with, which is a critical life skill that not everybody has, right? Or we've had it in certain stages of our life, but then it kind of fell off the bandwagon. And again, if you have kiddos, you might absolutely allow yourself distractions when it doesn't have to be that way, right? So at the end of the day, when you have an end game in mind and you're determined to get to the finish line, it becomes increasingly easier to avoid things that will also steer you off course. So for you, if you're one of those people that struggle with distractions, or you're not able to block out distractions on kind of your quest for your goal or achievement, I want to give you guys some tips on things that you can do. Okay, so first, I want you to focus on 2 or 3 important tasks that will propel you into the direction that you're wanting to go towards your goal. Okay, don't take on too much at once, because this is just going to overwhelm you. Okay, so I want you to just focus on 2 or 3 things. That's it. Easy peasy, right? It is that perpetual to-do list that can just kind of blow us way off track, right? And there's even different ways that you can, kind of go through your to-do list and be able to go, am I doing this because it's going to reach my goal, or am I doing this because it's make work, right? Or are there things on your to-do list that you could ultimately just hire out, right? Like if you're squeezing in things like cleaning your house, there are professionals that do that love to do it, that rock at it, and they can make it happen. And maybe you just decide, I'm giving up Tim Hortons and I'm hiring someone to clean my house. I don't know, right? We always find money, but that like frees up maybe an entire day, maybe in an afternoon, where you can start, working towards something that actually serves your soul, right? Brings joy into your life. But regardless, look at that to-do list, and I want you to focus on just like 2 or 3 things. That's it. And really assess whether those 2 or 3 things are something that maybe someone else can do. Maybe you can look at, maybe it's something you do that you've always done. And then, I know my husband and I have reassessed, because we kind of both, I don't know how it happened. We inherently I took on my stuff that I kind of do, and he took on his stuff that we kind of do. And together we just made it work, right? Whereas we kind of had to reassess and go, okay, I know you've always done that, but I actually don't mind doing that and I can do that. Or I know this is something that I've always done, but while you're doing this, you could actually do that, and it'd be like a double whammy sort of thing, right? So give yourself permission to do that. Right. And I want you to focus on completing work in segments. Okay. So instead of attempting to tackle, one large project all at once, break it down into bits and pieces, because distractions often come when you're not 100% focused on a task at hand. And and I always say this, death by multitasking, there's an awesome book out there called Death by Multitasking as well. But I want you to actually, break things down. I like to do things in 45-minute segments, and I'll, on days where I feel like my day is really full, I try not to use the word busy. It's very full. I'll even set a timer for myself that every 45 minutes, I'll break it up. Right. So that I'm not just, or else I know I'll just get bored. Right? So try that to help with your focus. In terms of creating boundaries for yourself, the ability to place boundaries in your life is, again, a huge life skill. And, setting goals for yourself will really help this out. So, goals provide boundaries by incentivizing you to know when to say no. And sometimes people, just get so overwhelmed and carried away with trying to do everything at once that they end up ultimately in the end just burning themselves out. So burnout is the ultimate enemy of goal attainment, right? What's the point in getting to your goal if when you get there, you are completely burnt out by the time you get there, right? So, some people have a fear of boundaries and feel as though boundaries will, prevent them from accomplishing their goals. But in reality, boundaries do the exact opposite. And I always say, the universe loves when you bring joy into your life, right? And balance. So an example of, I will keep using the examples of, whether you want to reduce your toxic load or whether you want to, go all in with your dream. Okay. So my dream was to create a space where I can help people just get healthier, right? I saw a gap in our healthcare system and I thought enough is enough. This is what I'm actually for real life passionate about. And, it was 2.5 years ago, because it will be 2 years in December 31st that I was officially done. But it was 2.5 years ago that I kind of just said, Eddie, those aren't your presents. No, silly boy. Where I kind of just said, enough is enough and I need to create some boundaries. And what is it that I truly want? What is it that I truly desire out of my life? And what's really going to get me there fast, right? So I was in a role where I was making crazy amounts of money with my pension and my benefits and all those awesome things. And I was growing my passion on the side, right? And after doing that for 2 years, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to be burnt out if I keep working 2 full-time jobs, because my on the side turned into not on the side. If I try to do this, not all in, if I keep this up, I will attain my goal because I saw it, it was there, but I'm going to be burnt out and I'm not going to enjoy the ride, right? And I started looking at my kids and at that point they were 2 and 4, right, when I resigned. But it was like, instead of them being a distraction or a reason to not pursue what will make me my best self, let them be my ultimate reason, right? And it was making the decision, and just really, it was scary, right? I had so much fear and stories built up inside of me. But I really, in the process, and my husband always says to me now, I'm almost too good at saying no to things. And even though I have, I guess, quote unquote, more time on my hands, I'm very particular on how I spend my time, like crazy protective on how I spend my time. And, you know, everything's scheduled in, and I have my every day. I set my 2 to 3 goals on what I'm going to accomplish the next day. Oh, Eddie, away from the fire sweets. On what I'm going to accomplish the next day, and then I move towards it, right? But it took time to get there, 100%, right? So, but the key is giving yourself permission to not multitask and really just say no to everything. So, if, for example, if you were to ask me to do something now, you would hear this out of me. Sorry, I can't. Or maybe that's a possibility. My schedule is pretty full, but if something changes, I'll let you know. Really nice way of saying no, thank you. But really, if something changes, even if I want to say yes, like it sounds like something super cool, I know what's kind of going on in my world, right? And I set my priorities, right? So I knew that if I was going to make this happen and truly be the change I wanted to see in the world, I had to put things in order, right? And my order is me. I know I have kids, and my first priority is me. Imagine that. It's beautiful. Okay, me, my family, my kids, my hubby, and then, you know, my business, my dream. Okay, and then everything else, and it is in that order. Okay, and if you were to ask me to do anything that compromises any of those things, it's gonna get it immediate. But everything gets an immediate no, right? And all the things that even I took on years ago, that, you know, I was always the person that organized everything, and I have got to the point now, and even I said to my husband as we were, you know, coming into this Christmas season, you know, this is the last year where I think we're going to organize this, and that's okay, right? Like, that's okay. I think we're done with organizing this event, or we're done hosting everything, or we're done trying to be everything to everyone, right? So setting those boundaries and giving yourself permission. And if me saying that to you makes you want to vomit, that's going to be a big one for you, right? That's going to be one where, you know, setting boundaries is going to be difficult, but if you can do it, it is going to be an absolute game changer for you. So, you know, I want you to also look at, you know, how does, you know, how do you get past things like procrastination? So, you know, procrastination is ultimately just, you know, the plight that many people just struggle with in so many aspects of their lives. And thankfully, setting goals will combat this, right? And it's one of those things that they're kind of definite opposites, but setting goals and striving towards achieving them will innately increase your willpower to stop procrastinating. And, you know, the almighty willpower combined with that desired end game that we talked about, you know, and staying the course and not wasting time, they will all start to come together. Okay, so the best remedies for procrastination are motivation combined with willpower. Okay, so speaking of motivation, I want you to think, you know, does setting goals motivate you, right? And there's tons of you know, articles and those sorts of things that talk about, you know, do you need to set goals, and why do we really do it? But I mean, setting goals is just by, you know, even if it's like Nicole said, if it's purely, I'm going to clean the house today, and check, I did it. You know, setting goals is innately exciting and motivational, as it gives you something to strive towards. Okay. It gives you that initial end game. And when you're sitting in your house and it's all clean and your Christmas tree's put up, there's nothing better than that feeling, right, of accomplishment. And, you know, the drive, energy, and passion that comes with setting and achieving your goals is what gives you the strength to then avoid things like distractions and obstacles, to overcome any difficulties, and to just stay the course. And, you know, by being motivated, you know, it also means taking action and just never giving up on what the end goal is. Because I mean, at the end of the day, crazy thing called life, it's going to happen, right? So how do you how are you just going to take things as they come, but not allow yourself to get distracted by them? Okay. All in all, I mean, setting goals is just, again, it's inherently motivational, and it just compels you to get to the finish line. So you are responsible for setting goals. And when setting a goal feels challenging, you really have one of two options. Option one is put in the work to set and achieve the goal, or option two is don't put in the work and achieve your goals. But you might do them, over the course of 20 years versus 2 years, right? At the end of the day, each option comes with a consequence. And sadly, many people will go for option two because it's comfortable. It's easy, right? And really, when you look at the emotional strain or heartache or physical strain that it brings to you, it's actually the most uncomfortable thing, right? And I can honestly say, as someone that has recently taken a leap of faith and really had to work through that fear, I realized I was way more uncomfortable trying to be everything to everyone, working full time, giving my all, 9 to 5 here, and then giving my all to my family, and leaving zero effort for myself, right? So I was burning the candle at both ends, and it was very uncomfortable, but I didn't know it until, there was just a series of things that happened in my life that kind of made me go, whoa, Delynn, what are you doing? What are you doing? Take a step back and really look at what you want and what you're, teaching other people. So, the key is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Because it's all worth it in the end. But the fact that, you're here makes me think that you want option one, right? You don't want option two. You don't want to not do the work, right? And as we go further, I want to share some creative and strategic tips so that you can successfully set and reach your goals. So next, let's talk about, just even some common mistakes that people kind of do and they'll end up falling short when they're setting their goals, because it's important to acknowledge these things so that if you find yourself, kind of going into that slump, that you can, pull yourself back at the same time. There was a recent article in Lifehack, and the most common reasons people fall short on working to achieve their goals are, there's a few of them. Number one, their goals aren't specific enough. So according to experts, you should set SMART goals, right? So specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, and time framed. So for instance, if your goal is to make more money, setting a goal of I want to make a lot of money is not a good goal. Saying something like I want to earn 50,000 by the end of the year would be much better and much more specific goal, right? So you are giving yourself a number and you are giving yourself a time frame, right? 50,000 by the end of the year, okay? And I encourage you not to think small, okay? And if your goal is to make more money, you can even print them. I printed them. I Googled it and then printed it off. Where it's a check from a blank check from the universe. And you hear, people like Jim Carrey did this, right? He carried around a check made out to him for, $10,000 or $100,000 or something. And then when he had done, Ace Ventura and then The Mask, he officially got, one royalty check for whatever the amount was. And, it took time. But it's one of those manifesting things, right? So we talk about the power of, things like manifesting and affirmations, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that. But setting really specific goals. And if you physically write out that number and put a date on a check, there's not much more specific that you can get than that. Number two, people procrastinate. So we've talked about procrastination, but when you set a goal for yourself, it's important to start working towards it like ASAP. And so many people get sidetracked, or they'll put the work off because of fear, because it's hard, because it might stir up some blocks or some kind of long lost emotions that you have in yourself. But at the end of the day, if you procrastinate this, right, it's not enough just to say, I'm going to do this. If you procrastinate it, it's pretty much a recipe for failure. So, you know, and then, you know, the biggest thing that, you know, you can have is just regret around it as well. Number 3 is they let the critics and the naysayers get to them. So, you know, unfortunately, everyone has those people, right? Those want people, or the people that feel like they can dictate how they think it's supposed to be, but yet they're not brave enough to do it themselves, right? We all know those people, and there will always be naysayers and those who doubt your ability to, you know, successfully execute your plans to get to your goal. And, you know, the key is you have to rise above the criticism and just stick to what you believe in. And, you know, this is often easier said than done. But at the end of it, it comes down to your choice and your willpower. Okay. And trust me, when I first handed in my resignation at the hospital, I had a ton of people. Some of them just, you could see it in their eyeballs that they were looking at me like, Delynn, you are nuts. Some people actually said, you are nuts, you will regret this. I'd like to point out that I do not. Just pointing that out. But you know, and at the end of the day, you have to decide on the belief in yourself. And, you know, for me, it was, I had, you know, you were the average of the top 5 people that you associate yourself with. And my top 5 people believed in me, right? Because I had already done the work to get I wasn't associating myself with the people that they didn't believe in me and I didn't believe in them, right? I got rid of those people. I mean, I see them every once in a while, but they're not regulars in my life. Okay. I am not the sum of them at all. Right. So maybe the work might be for you is associating, not, you know, immediately associating yourself with the naysayers. But at the end of the day, you're still going to come up against them. 2 years later, I still have people that are like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. But at the end of the day, I think I speak with my energy and my attitude and my vibration, right? Like you can feel me the second you're in a room with me, right? And I get told this all the time. But that took work to get there, right? Again, knowing who I'm the sum of and putting me at the top of that priority list of things to do has created this, right? So, and now if I were to come across naysayers, I don't even think they would actually say, they wouldn't say too much about it, right? Number 4 is, you know, it kind of goes with that naysayers is they keep poor company. So we just talked about, you're the average of the top 5 people that you associate with. And if you are striving towards achieving a goal, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people who will encourage you. And, you know, while poor company will hold you back, the surrounding yourself with the right people will 100% maximize your success. So, you know, you may not even, you know, have those people in your life right now, but if you are surrounded by negativity and naysayers constantly, you don't even have any room. You have to first make like physical and energetic room for those people to enter your life. Okay. And you can't expect them to enter if you don't physically have room. I hope that makes sense. So that's a key one. Okay. But I love this quote. It says, to succeed in your mission, you must have a single-minded devotion to your goal. And I love that word, devotion. It has to be that that thing, that vision that you have that is just, it's flexible, but it's uncompromisable, right? So I want you to think, what's your number one goal? Okay. And, let's chat now about how you're going to accomplish your goal. But I want you to first get in your mind, what is that first thing that you need to do in order to kind of take yourself to that next level. And again, maybe it's reworking the top 5 people that you associate yourself with. Maybe it's just you're like, I want to get healthier. I want to, and this was ultimately it for me. I had to learn to start putting myself first, period, above anybody, and then not feel guilty about it, right? That was a lot of work, and I had a lot of blocks around that, and I had a lot of fear around that. But I started doing that, while I was working 2 full-time jobs, but I would squeeze in, just the things that bring me joy, like a bath. I love a good bath. I love a good tea. Give me a tea in the bathtub. Oh, golden, right? So what is that thing that you need to do? And maybe it's, Dylan, I'm not really ready to take that step, but I want to get rid of the chemicals in my house. One by one, I want to start to get rid of them. So, what I did for me was I couldn't, again, break it down into small chunks. I couldn't just say, I'm going to do everything all at once. I said, okay, I'm never buying a chemical again. I'm never buying it. As I run out of things, I'm going to naturally just attempt to DIY it myself until I find the recipes that I love. And it took me just over a year from setting that goal. But then I could say, 98% of the things that are in my house, I make myself. And I've reduced our toxic load. My kids have very little, chemical exposure if I have my, say in it. And that's huge, right? So let's talk about just some creative ways to accomplish your goals. And number one, the most creative and powerful way to accomplish your goals is by visualizing the outcome. Okay. So believe it or not, your actions greatly depend on your thoughts. You have to get your brain there before anything else can get there. And everything that has ever come into being was once a mere thought. Just always visualize the outcomes you want to achieve. And this is where I highly recommend doing things like meditation, okay, and visualization. And, for me, I also have, let me just get it here. I have my dream board, okay? So this is my dream board, okay? Here it is. This is my newly created one. And I created this at a Dare to Declare workshop. Well done, Debbie Sluice. But I keep it, so I do all of my greatest work not in my office, but in a space that inspires me, the heart of my home, in my kitchen. I love to just sit at my kitchen island. So I have that on the side of my fridge where I can see it every day from my desk. That's my desk, right? But I created that board, and I visualize myself there, and I see myself there, and I know without a shadow of the doubt that within the next 6 months to a year, everything on that dream board will come true, 100%, right? I get my brain there before anything else is going to be there. Number 2, you need to speak with conviction when you're talking about your goals. So as you just witnessed me do, I look at that board and I'm like, it's going to happen. It has no choice but to happen, right? I've made room for it. I feel really good about it. It doesn't feel icky. Think about all the people I'm going to help in the process is amazing, right? But instead of saying, I wish, I want, I hope, I will, or I am, there's so much more power in words of repetition, all right? So tell yourself that you will attain your goal You know, come hell or high water, you can do anything. You are strong. You are capable. Never stop the affirmations for yourself, and never stop working towards what you want. Okay. And I pulled some of these. You can see these little cards. I pulled them from, again, the side of my fridge, and they are just little cue cards that I bought at the dollar store that as I want to create things for myself, I create little affirmation cards, okay? And I read them all the time. So this one, today I will create one step towards my dreams. Life emanates me. I create the world with my thoughts, my beliefs, and my energetic frequency. I create beautiful experiences. And the universe has my back and is constantly sending me blessings, gifts, and signs of guidance. Ask and she shall receive, right? Those are just a few. I have like legit a whole wall of things that I say to myself, right? And it's so funny whenever I'm feeling that, you know, not every day is rainbows and unicorns, but whenever I'm having those days of, okay, I need a little extra reminder today. You know, my eye seems to gravitate to that piece of wall that has the exact affirmation that I absolutely need a little extra reminding of that day, right? So don't be afraid to. And I was so scared to even post those initially. I thought, oh my God, my husband's gonna think I'm a nut job. But no. He absolutely sees what I'm talking about. So you want to just surround yourself with it. Surround yourself with what your goals are going to look like. So pictures of them, affirmations of them, but get your brain there, okay? And be confident with them. Don't waver. And when those naysayers come around, because even after you've worked them out of your life, they will manage to sneak their way back in, but you will have so much conviction, they won't even. It won't even. Next, number 3, break down your bigger goals into sub goals. So one of the, you know, kind of biggest enemies that we have of achievement is feeling just like we're overwhelmed. And you know, if you want to achieve this huge lofty goal, try breaking it down into parts and just tackling them gradually as you go along. So not only does this keep you from getting burned out, but setting sub goals also allows you to track your progress as you go along, right? And it's just highly motivational to do that. So, you know, a lot of the things that, again, we're doing. So I'll go back to, you're wanting to reduce your toxic load. If you can, when you can physically start to see that, you know, you're not buying a bunch of stuff, so your grocery bill is diminishing quickly. But you're also, you know, you're slowly starting to kind of make over that medicine cabinet and that cleaning cupboard, and you're doing things to up level your health, right? Or if you're trying to lose weight and you are, you know, eating cleaner and exercising regularly and getting your brain there, right? If you want to drop 4 sizes, you need to stop wearing clothes that are 4 sizes too big, right? You got to get I'm not saying squeeze into 4 sizes too small. I'm saying, you know, if you want to be a size 10, think like a size 10. If you want to be a size 6, think like a size 6, right? Have the confidence behind it, right? And you will naturally get yourself there. But, you know, it's okay, you know, to give yourself these permissions. And so much of it is permissions. And many people, you know, set goals with the right intention. You know, they're super motivated on goal setting day. They're invigorated by the possibility of what will happen. They're eager to start the process, but, and they are absolutely just petrified of falling short. And whether, you know, this is a conscious or subconscious thought, the most important step is the entire goal setting process is to just begin it. Okay. You know, it's scary. Let's call it out. The elephant in the room, right? Nobody likes failure, right? But as long as you don't quit, you're not failing. You just have to not quit. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There's many other factors that we'll kind of touch on shortly. But, I want to emphasize right now that the key is that you begin. And so here's my recommendation in this specific moment. I want you to make a decision. I want, what is your goal? I want you to declare it. Call it out loud. I mean, like, scream it at the top of your lungs, that you will achieve it. And what is it? Okay, and get specific. I want you to get a paper and a pen, and I want you to write it down ASAP, like 5 times in a row. What is your goal? Okay. I want you to get on the phone, and I want you to call 3 people in your life that will actually hold you accountable and will check in on you at least monthly on how that goal is going. Okay. Don't call the people that aren't going to hold you accountable. Okay. Call the people that are actually going to say, hey, Delyn, how's that going for you? Right? And then I'm going to share another little tip ski shortly, but I want you to do those things. I want you to declare it. I want you to write it down, and I want you to call somebody and let somebody else know it. So let's talk about goals. Okay, it's time, right? A lot of different goals are kind of out there. If your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to make more money, if your goal is to buy a new car, if your goal is to fall in love, if your goal is to pay off debt, do not have a backup plan. Don't do it. And Will Smith says it best. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts you from plan A. Okay? If your goal is to make $50,000 by the end of the year, there is no, but 30 is okay. No, there's none of that. If your goal is to lose 40 pounds, your goal is to lose 40 pounds, period. End of conversation. And many people play their goal setting too safe because they're fearful of missing the mark. But my challenge to you is only have one plan, which is success. Okay. So if your plan, again, is to lose 35 pounds by the time you go on vacation, do not have a plan B, which states that, 20 pounds is okay as well. And again, if it's a money one, I don't even care if, your goal is to make 20,000, 19 is not okay. Your goal is to make 20,000. I call it the, do whatever it takes mentality. Okay, you will get there. Have just complete tunnel vision for your desired outcome, and don't let yourself stop or even take a day off. Okay, until you hit your goal, and there's something really, there's something super important that you have to do. When you reach your goal, party like it's 1999. Okay, you have to celebrate the sub goals and just the entire process. Okay, each breakthrough requires acknowledgement that there was a significant amount of effort put into it. Okay, make the journey just filled with recognition. Okay, so even I talked about when my mom and I made that to-do list, and we were like, bam, celebrate every time we checked something off. Okay. Ben Renshaw, who's the director of the Happiness Project and Success Intelligence, says on average, by the age of 18, we will have been praised and encouraged 30,000 times. And most of this by the time we were 3. So somewhere along the way, we stopped celebrating. Okay. 30,000 times. And I think about how I talk to my now 4 and 6-year-old, when they learn to walk, or they learn to eat, or they learned all these things, you get most of that praise before you're 3. And then now it's a slight woohoo, right? There's so much satisfaction in just celebrating. So neglecting to celebrate your success can just cause you to slowly, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, start to take a negative view on your accomplishments, and at some point just really make it feel like they're not a big deal. When you focus on what you haven't accomplished instead of what you have, you're less likely to stay on task to complete your goals, because it's not very motivating to just constantly think about the things that you haven't done, right? So the good news is, though, is that celebrating your accomplishments can boost your confidence, and just help you stay away from things like burnout, right? Because it'll fuel you constantly. So what is your first milestone? So you have your end goal, you have your date on when that's going to happen. You've created sub goals in order to get there. You know what you need to do in order to make it happen. What's that first milestone that you're going to celebrate with? Okay. And, within our, business, I guess, it's, sometimes it's, it can go so many different ways, right? But I absolutely have things and ways that we celebrate, right? And maybe they were things that we were going to do anyways, but we celebrate in just little extras. So, for example, we just took the kids on a cruise. Okay, that we probably would have done anyways because we love to travel. But the little extra thing that we did was we were like, we're getting a spa pack, and that's going to be our celebration for reaching this, right? And that was great. That was awesome, and that was something that just totally gave us permission to we knew why we were celebrating, right? So I don't need cupcakes every time. So you need to identify how you're going to celebrate. And I'm a huge advocate too of accountability. Okay. So we're all human beings, and if left to our own devices, we will typically quit when the going gets tough, right? So who's your support? Okay, maybe it's your person that you're going to celebrate with too, but who's going to be your support along the way? If you're looking for someone to hold you accountable, it would be my personal honor to help you with this. Personal message me. I'd love to hear what's your goal and how can I help, right? How can I help hold you accountable? Even better yet, why, we can even hold each other accountable. I'll let you know one of my goals. You can hold me accountable too. But I want you to, if you can, this is courage here, post what your goals are going to be in the thread here. I'll be super curious, or even just private message them to me, and build your goal setting arsenal. Okay. Before we kind of finish off here, I want to share just some goal setting resources that might help serve you as well on kind of your quest to make your goals a reality. Number one, I want you to get a journal, okay? And document your days, your weeks, and your months so you can actually measure your progress. So this is my personal journal. I legit picked it up at the dollar store, but I loved it. It inspires me. It says, be brave. Okay. I know that a lot of the work that I'm doing is, it rubs people the wrong way, and I'm okay with that, right? But as I pick up my journal, it reminds me that this is the work that I'm meant to do, right? And I know I can do this, and I'm brave enough to do this. And it just says, like, be brave, right? And then I pick it up and, just draw out a few things, right? So I keep this on my nightstand and write some stuff out every night before I go to bed. The second, read. So a simple Google search will give you a crazy amount of books that you can read, but make sure you're checking out the following. So there's one called Goals, How to Get Everything You Want Faster Than You Ever Thought Possible by Brian Tracy. It's a good one. Another one is called The Magic of Thinking Big, Acquire the Secrets of Success, Achieving Everything You've Always Wanted by David Schwartz. And another one is The Achievement Habit, Stop Wishing, Start Doing, Take Command of Your Life by Bernard Roth. And another one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So those are some big ones that will absolutely help with goal setting. But read, get uncomfortable. I personally always love even just going to YouTube, throw on, like, even if you're needing support with this, type in just the word motivation or goals or whatever, right? And this is where I listen to Tony Robbins probably every day, just even some little snippets, right? Just because his message totally aligns with me. So I'm a huge advocate of YouTube, and they're free resources, right? Download. So there's a ton of goal setting apps even. So there's one called Strides, another one called Way of Life, and another one called Goals on Track. So if you are wanting some accountability there, or just even to track progress or whatever, download, those 3 apps, or just see which one you like. And number 4, just believe. The most important resource you have and need is belief in yourself, and believe deeply that you can do whatever you're putting your mind to. Okay. And again, being able to look yourself in the mirror and say, I believe in you. I love you. I want this for you. And then just move it forward. Right. So I know today we've kind of unleashed a lot of information on you. And you're likely feeling one of 2 ways. You're feeling super inspired or super overwhelmed. Both of these feelings can be used, to incentivize you to get creative and set that goal, and to achieve that goal, and to avoid those common mistakes that we talked about. Setting goals is just, it's deeply significant, and it will impact your ways or your life in ways that you never even dreamed possible for years, right? So don't think small, okay? The sky is the limit, literally, on what you can achieve. So if you need any additional support, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is only the beginning for you. Okay. So, thank you guys so much for being here. Helping people kind of set the tone for their own life, to kind of pave their own way, is super important to me. And again, if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we will absolutely chat soon. See you guys. Happy goal setting.